Hello.
Hello, all, and welcome to the talkback for season 1 of Crits and Knits. A bunch of you probably don't know who I am. My name is Alondra Heilman, aka Lady Bedivere. For Majestic Goose Network, I sometimes appear on Meme of the Month with several of the other fine folks in the Crits and Knits family. But tonight, Danny has graciously invited me to crash your party to help lead and guide this talkback so that she can just actually participate and answer questions. Um, Let's do a quick round of introducing everyone you see on screen. There are some faces here that I'm sure you know and love, but maybe haven't seen in a moment or two. So we're just gonna start with Danny above me and go around the circle. If you could just reintroduce who you are and what character you've played.
All right, hello. You probably recognize this face. I am Danny, and I have been your DM for all of Crits and Knits.
Hello, I am DB and I played Nalitha.
Ah, sadness.
We'll get to
Hi,
it.
I'm Tiana Wren, and I play Isolde Argry.
Hey, I'm Greg. I played Herder mostly, but also had a little bit as Gareth and Darian at the end. And yeah,
I'm E. I'm back. Can't get rid of me
Yay!
after all. I played Owen, and there was like a 2 episode arc where I played a former NPC while Owen was away.
Everybody, I'm Hollow. I played Erasmus, everybody's favorite hole carrier.
Amazing. Uh, as always, when I lead talkbacks like this, I have a few notes and reminders up top to share. Uh, some of you may know me from another very popular actual play podcast where I host the talk back. This list, I promise, is not nearly as long or as intensive as that one. But I do like to just throw out here just a few reminders for the folks watching or listening before we get into things. Number one, this is a spoiler full zone. If you are not caught up all the way through season 1s of Crits and Knits, extremely including the character epilogues, watch or listen at your own risk. There will be spoilers. Number 7, we reserve the right to not answer questions. I personally do not have an encyclopedic enough knowledge or memory of this show to prevent all spoilers and setups, but anyone at the table may, for any reason, without explanation, just decline to answer or pass on a question. That is always fine. Number 5, thank you to everyone who submitted advanced questions already. Dark In, and Zero Baby, Megan Perknitz, Greg E, and of course Danny, who fleshed out some of these for me. If you didn't get a chance to submit your questions in advance, or if you come up with more things you want to ask while we talk, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will be monitoring that as we go, and I will do my best to add those in as time allows where it feels appropriate. And 3, at about 9:30 p.m., about 90 minutes into this, the formal portion of this talkback is going to end because myself, Tiana Ren, and DB have to leave this call to jump into another one to go play Midnight in the Garden of Chrome and Fog over on twitch.tv/Vanna Loswin. It's a near future cyberpunk game which Tiana Ren hosts. It's very fun. This stream will not be ending at that time. We will take a brief break and then go into just the knits slash the naughty knitting knits after dark. I don't know what you guys call this portion. It's the part where you guys get to talk smack about those of us who left and just have a more casual hangout, check in on project progress. Please continue to hang out, stick around after that for a little bit. Just know that a few of us will have to be dipping out. I have to go smudge everything on my face so that I look like a raccoon. And if you stick around long enough, Danny will probably raid you in. So if you want to see what Ren, DB, and I are doing over there, you're welcome to join us. And now that you're already sick of this random stranger talking over your favorite show, I will finally turn to the cast, and we will begin. Let's just start with what I think is a really good top of first season question. This is probably going to most immediately throw to Danny, but it does have a component for everyone to chime in, which is whose idea was it to get together to do Crits and Knits, and how did this whole thing come together? And a very important secondary, 1A question to that is, did everybody knit before the game started? But let's start with how did this whole thing come to be?
Think it was pretty much my plan. It was one of those things that I have a lot of weird dreams. And I see a lot of weird memes on the internet, and there was something about retired adventurers. And it just sort of started percolating in my head. Retired adventurers, what are they going to do? Like, be sitting around knitting? Like, wait, I sit around and knit. Wait, there's all sorts of fun things that we could do with that. I want to do a campaign of knitters. And at the time, I'd been watching a lot of video podcasts of different knitters talking about their projects. I'm like, we could absolutely like get a bunch of knitters and gamers together because I know there's a lot of overlap in the two communities. So yeah, it was I started reaching out to the ones that I knew were knitters and the ones that I knew knitters. So I think DB, you brought in E.
I did, and that was so a little bit of backstory there. E and I went to college together. And I knew that they knitted because they made me some stuff while we were in college. At that time I did not knit. And I knew that they loved D&D because I had ran D&D for a very short amount of time before I went, ooh, don't like, and kind of just faded into the background as an asshole. A little bit. Um, but I was like, hey, one of my friends is doing this thing. Would you be interested? And he was like, yes, obviously. Which was great because I was like, score, I haven't talked to them in a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. I got a random Facebook Messenger message. Hey, do you still knit and still play D&D? And DB does not give herself enough credit. It was a multitude of factors that ended that first game, and it was predominantly life be life and for everyone. Um, but yeah, I missed DB and playing D&D with DB, and so this was an excellent way to do that. And yes, I had been knitting and crocheting beforehand, so I was like, hell yeah, things I like.
And then at some point in this conversation, Danny reached out to me because we had been playing D&D together for some time here on Majestic Goose, and I was like, "Hi, I haven't knitted since I was like 9. Is that gonna be okay? Because like I will, if in this knits portion, I will have nothing to talk about." And she's like, "That's fine. Creating stuff is still creating stuff," while plotting her secret plan to get me back into knitting. I see what you were doing.
That's how
It
she gets all
worked.
of us, Ren.
It did work because y'all were talking about all this stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna find something that I can do with my very basic knowledge. And I made a scarf, and it wasn't good, but I had fun. And now I've made several more projects and I'm still having fun, even though my hands cramp.
Oh,
That's how Danny gets all of us. That's how Danny got me. She was like, oh, hey, for That's Pretty Crafty, we're going to talk about Firefly and we're going to make Jane hats. And so she casted it on, started it, and then was like, okay, you're going to learn how to knit now. And I was like, and now
and now
there are
And
too many
now,
boxes of yarn in my house.
yeah, I think I've got 4 separate boxes that are labeled yarn in various areas of my house.
someday
Ren, how
I,
cute.
I will invite you
So-
both to my house someday so you can see my yarn room.
You're going to invite me to your house anyway, because
Well,
if I'm
yes,
ever in the area, I'm going to crack
Okay,
down
we've
to crack
asked
the
one
door.
question and we're already off the pocket. If I seem to recall, and you can call me out, I might be misremembering. Greg, you were a knitter first, and then got
Yes.
suckered into the gaming side of things. Did
Fucking
you
Greg.
guessed? Did you guessed on That's Pretty Crafty before Crits and Knits, or were you?
No,
Okay.
no, this was wild. So, like, I kind of knew Danny.
Okay.
We had met in person once, and I followed her. She used to have a video podcast, Andy Danny Loves to Knit, which I loved watching. And part of Crits and Knits would have a designer spotlight or a fiber professional spotlight sort of thing going on. And so Danny reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be the
Featured fiber
um,
friend.
featured.
That's what it
That's what it
was.
was. And I said, yes, I would. What does that mean? And then and so she told me about it, and I said, okay, that's great. And so then I went and I listened to and watched all of the back catalog of episodes because at this point it was about a dozen or so episodes in, and so I was catching up and I was like, oh man, Dungeons and Dragons. So the question for me really is, did I play D&D before?
Yeah.
And I did, but it was 40 years ago when I was like 12. So like when I played D&D, it was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and TSR published it. And so I was like, this is great. And I was really enjoying it. And so I told Danny that, at the end of my featured Fiber Friends time, if there was an opportunity for me to like sit in on a game or something, I would love to do that. And Danny said, okay, yeah, that'd be fine. I think, she talked with everybody to make sure everybody would be cool with that. It was just a little one shot sort of little guest, and I haven't left. So,
Another classic way of suckering your friends into your projects. Hey, could you just come
right.
do a guest spot for just like a brief, like 300 to 400 episodes? Great.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, but I've
and
been knitting since for about 10 years, about 12 years.
yeah,
So,
fabulous. And then Ernest, who dragged you into this?
I didn't knit at all, but I had been around Majestic Goose a bunch, because I got started like kind of during the pandemic and just like threw myself at anything that I could get myself cast in almost anywhere. And Danny's like, "Hey, do you want to do a show about knitters?" I'm like, "But I don't knit though."
But you had that
Like,
story about the one time.
yeah, I knitted at something once.
That was good enough.
And that's pretty much my knitting career now. Like, I have a wall of shame somewhere around here where like I have a bunch of like started projects. Like, it's real bad. I have like bought new needles to start a new thing because my needles are stuck in something else. So that's yeah. I plenty of D&D experience, maybe too much, and not enough knitting experience.
Yeah, well, apparently this is the middle ground where all things come to converge. So that gives us a little bit of the originating uh factor of how this show came together. Danny had a dream and Danny has a bunch of friends. That's how truly most games start, I think, these days. I have to look down my list. Let's go with another one for the group before we start getting into like weirdly specific ones. Moving into some of the gameplay. Of course, uh you're all playing retired adventurers who get kind of called back into the adventuring life to whatever degree that happens, and to whatever degree anyone ever really retires in a D&D game. um which of course means you've probably got a bunch of stuff lying around. And one of the questions I have here that I think is very fun to lead us into talking about characters and gameplay is there a magic item you packed but are disappointed that you never got to use? What's the coolest, weirdest, most fun thing that your character just had lying around that you got to bring along, or that you found along the way, if that's more relevant? Coolest piece of kit you have?
well, I'll jump in first,
Yeah, go for it.
because like my character was like super retired. He'd given up adventuring like long before. So mechanically, he started at a much lower level than everybody else, and he was just tending bar, and he had sold all of his adventuring equipment. He didn't have anything. Um, he might have had like a favorite axe or something. I don't remember exactly, but early on, got to jump into Erasmus's hole and found all sorts of stuff in there. Really enjoyed that. Um, and I don't remember where it was, but he got a panic button, which I thought was like one of the coolest things. And I was really looking forward to trying to figure out how to use that probably like at the big fight at the end, and it ended up not needing it at all. But I was ready to swallow that button and have something crazy happen. So that's mine.
Nothing like a life alert to
Right.
let everybody know that the BBEG is happening. That's
Yep.
delightful.
Honestly, I think the thing that we didn't really use a lot was the actual life alert that Danny
Right?
gave us
Right.
as adventurers. Because it was something that we could use if somebody wasn't going to be there for the episode. And I think we were just consistently there. Unless
For the most
like there
part.
was like weather. Weather usually kept us from not consistently being there, or somebody being very sick and several someone's being very sick. But it was a really cool kind of artifact that we never used. Like, well, not yet, never, rarely used. So,
Um, I think to Danny's chagrin used most of the things I put on my character sheet to grand effect. Like the portable hole, which became the the basis of all the hole jokes because I shoved
Everything.
a fourth of a dragon's hoard into the hole. Um, magic figurines, all that kind of stuff. I definitely made use of everything that was in my tool belt. But a thing that was kind of like hanging was I still had one wish left on my lucky sword because it was a sword with a couple wishes on it. I used one of them to save an NPC and one of them to try and screw over another NPC, and that didn't work so well. And I had one wish left, and Erasmus is very, as people know, very off the hip. And so I just didn't I didn't see a good narrative chance to go, you know what? Time for that wish.
Impulsive is the word we want there.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Improvisational works too. Anybody else have any fun magic items or even mundane items that you didn't get to use as much as you wanted to or as much as you thought you would?
I lucked out. I got to use most of my stuff, but I did pack a chime of opening, but I don't think we ever ran into a lock.
nope.
Not really, no.
Well, you also had a rogue that could just like look at the
With
lock
like
and it would go away.
19, yeah.
That's very good.
I think the one that I am the saddest about not being able to use, and I really should have come up with a creative way to use it because I kept forgetting it was there, was another thing from Erasmus's hole, was the were they glasses? Was it I don't remember what exactly it was, but it would turn whoever put it on into like a 3-inch high doll of themselves with like 1 HP, which meant
Right.
that you could get into all sorts of tiny places, but also if you got hit, you were dead.
Should have used that on the rogue. I would have been fine.
I mean, there's a reason why Assault never gave that to Nelitha. Like 12 to 17 reasons.
Well, okay. Seems a little judgmental. So
She's a paladin. That's what she does.
that's fine. Nolitha had a lot of magical items. Her house was basically filled with them. And I don't think I used a single one ever. Except for the spectacles of disguise. That'll come up later. And like the bag of holding. And I think she also had a hat of disguise. So she had like disguise on disguise on disguise. So
Like a hat on a
Yeah.
hat.
I did have giant lists of everything you took from the Dragon's Hoard. And one of the things that I wish would have got used, but I never saw a reason that you would have used it. It was called a privacy blanket. And when you threw the blanket over your head and you held someone's hand, no one could hear what you were saying to each other.
It's
That's
like
it.
a
It was
code
just-
of silence, but it's a blanket.
blankie.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I love that. It's hiding under your blankie.
Yep, absolutely.
So many
Sorry.
conversations we could have had about Nelitha under that blanket.
Why would we have all the conversations in front of her? It's fine.
Look, it sounds like we're just getting y'all prepped for possible future seasons, but we're not gonna get there yet. We will get to we all know this is a classic. We know about the big thing. We'll talk about it toward the end, or at least after a few more generic questions. Let's kick over to a. I feel like I should have teed this one up better. I should save it, but it's also so funny to me. I have several questions for Danny as the DM, and I have one that I have compounded into what I believe is correctly called. I might be making the wrong reference here, but I believe this would be correctly called the Seinfeld question.
Oh no.
Which is, what is up with? And now I have 18 things that we can finish this joke with.
All right.
What is up with the zombie army, the library mimics, the trolls, those kobolds? I just got a sequence of questions that were all about these things. You don't have to answer for all of these. I thought it was just a humorous linguistic moment that occurred in the way the questions were submitted. But yeah, let's pick one. I personally want to know what's up with the library mimics.
So the library mimics, they were in a delivery of books from, it was the guy that Herder was pretending to be.
Nightshade?
Nightshade, yes.
Yeah.
Lovely
A
Nightshade.
big benefactor to the library. And yeah, he didn't want anyone messing with his books. So he had a bunch of book mimics with the thought that, people who go mess with his library are going to not. But they used some sort of magic to just transport the whole library into the bigger library. And so no one actually handled the books, so no one knew that some of the books were mimics, and it was just a paranoid old man's traps on his library because he didn't want you touching his books.
I love the implication that he's so paranoid, he already doesn't let anyone touch them. But in case you do,
Yep.
there's also mimics. That's fabulous. It's a fun one. We'll probably keep circling back to some of these to some of these guys. Although I did get it looks like the chat has added also what's up with the rabbits.
We want to know that too.
Yes.
We can answer that one right now. What's up with the rabbits?
Specifically need to know this because I have Lilith and those rabbits, man.
So the deal with the rabbits is the necromancer, the big bad guy, was experimenting with trolls. He was trying to get the regenerative properties of trolls into other creatures. And he started small with rabbits because he figured by starting with a rabbit, he could easily kill a rabbit. And rabbits breed really quickly, so he could see if the properties of the fused on troll skin would proliferate into future generations. And so he did it to a couple of rabbits, and it worked. And it did proliferate onto future generations, and the rabbits breed like rabbits. So they're just a bunch of troll rabbits. Rabbits that have the regenerative properties of the trolls.
E, do you have a question for the class?
Yeah, why did it bite Owen's ass then? Just because?
Yeah.
Because trolls are assholes.
And rabbits can be assholes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was just an animal thing. Animals sometimes bite people.
Oh no, I can hear Alondra's brain churning with ideas now.
No, I'm just fascinated by this logic from this dude because I'm like, how would you be able to tell if it's working? Because the rabbits breed so quickly. How do you know if they're regenerating or if it's the same ones or if it's new ones? Wait a minute, I have more questions.
I like
Slingshot.
I just want to say, Danny, just because your necromancers were so busy wondering, can we do it, but never took the most.
No.
Should we do
No,
it?
they were morons. They did not think things through.
So my thing is I think the way that he made sure that the rabbits were new rabbits versus the ones he fused with is, you know how sometimes they tattoo animals when they spade or neuter them? That's what he did. In my brain, they just have a green line of a tattoo.
Yeah, he didn't bother with a tattoo. He probably just rubbed a berry on them or something. That's
Not
good enough.
sure.
I figured
Go
out.
away.
With their ear. like they do with
Brand
trap
their ear
release
or knock
guns.
their ear, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why I'm gasping at that. I actively killed a lot of those rabbits.
you thought you did.
in my bag.
Ooh.
You only killed
Uh,
one of them.
yeah.
You just killed it multiple
We
times.
never set any of those rabbits on fire, which is the way to stop troll regeneration. So
True.
they're
Yep.
out there.
It's a fair point. Well, that's horrifying and good to know, I guess. I have a lot of magic science that I need to go do for some of my own home games now.
No.
But let's see. I'm gonna roll a die here to popcorn somebody a character specific question because I have, I think, one for each character. We are gonna go to Hollow.
What?
Hollow, is Erasmus related to Dalton Fowler of the Fowler Building?
We never actually explored that in character, but he very much would like to not be. Because that means he has wizards in his family, and
And
yeah.
now he's teaching a generation of wizards.
About how to not be assholes. It ain't going well.
Valid.
Speaking of wizards, I think that goes to another great question. Are things getting normal now that the wizard is dead? Parenthetically, he's dead, right?
Yes. Yeah, they did get rid of that necromancer. And things
I heard that distinction.
things seem to be normalizing. We do have Erasmus teaching at the school now, so maybe not so normal. But yeah, that one is definitely dead.
We love the confirmation that at least that one is definitely dead. Let me jump right here. Okay, let's go back to something a little less spicy, or maybe more spicy. I've met all of you. I could be wrong. How much knitting flavor did you bring to your characters? Some of this is like, again, I haven't watched through the entire thing, so I don't know how much of this started or came up later, but I have seen many times where like what starts as a weird shtick or a bit for a character early on suddenly actually becomes like a really like plot saving device when it turns out I had a bard who played the hammer dulcimer, but her hammers actually functioned as like her weapons as well, and so they could level up, and so her playing and her fighting got better as she leveled. Did anybody have any like fun like knitting flavor, or were there any fun recurring like, wait a minute, I can use my real life knitting knowledge to ruin someone's day magically?
Unfortunately, I think that a lot of the knitting stuff got kind of lost after I want to say the first 10 to 15 episodes because we never were really back in Pennycross.
Oh,
And
so
that
right
was
when you brought Greg in, just fully nixed all the knitting. I see how it is.
I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
we had the conceit that we were all part of the same knitting group, and I think that showed up a couple of times with like the bobble hat and things like that. The hat that was all bobbles.
Half bobble.
Oh, excuse me. You are correct.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
but I
going to be
think that
mine is a throwaway line turned into a real knitting pattern.
that's
Yeah.
good. And Kvyat was introduced in the Dragon Horde, but other than that, I don't think that knitting was as important later on, unfortunately, and I'm
No.
hoping that that'll be different in the next campaign.
I think we made a point of, anytime you had downtime and a rest, you pulled out your knitting. But as we were getting to the end, we didn't have a lot of downtime. It was pretty go go go.
When I brought Herder on, I intentionally brought him on as not a knitter, partly because his bar was kind of a competitor to the eating establishment where the knitting group met. So he wasn't he didn't hang out over there, and so I just kept him off the knitting.
Okay, but I have to jump on something that E just said real quick because that leads to another very good question that I think is very important. How many knitting patterns came out of this show? Like how like either were inspired by the show or were a result of, oh, I need a project to work on during the show, and so let me create a new pattern.
Well, definitely the Owens half bobble hat, which is still in the testing phase, but maybe someday it will be released. And then at one point I had this harebrained idea to knit Owen's outfit. So I knit up some like um bracers and like reverse engineered from like a Hungarian knitting magazine some um greaves, and I think that's as far as I got. I still have it saved on my Ravelry of like costume pieces. Like I just need like chainmail, and that would essentially be it. I could like just the rest of it's just like normal people clothes. Um, but yeah, the chainmail's easy because you just knit on like really big needles.
I was gonna say, if you want the crochet scale mail pattern, I will send it to you. Um, no, I think somebody in the chat, I think it was Ren, commented the same thing I did. You said harebrained idea, and I was like, oh, does that mean I can bribe you to make me a knitted bunny rabbit?
Of course.
Yeah. Unrelated to the
Yeah.
show, I just love rabbits. Anyway, okay, that's very fun. I think that's I always love seeing when you have a kind of fun convention like this, the Crits and Knits. The two things don't inherently have to always be connected and don't necessarily stay connected, but it is fun to see the ways in which the overlap or the original kind
Yeah.
of premise
Yeah.
of invite all the knitters to come be in the D&D party from this launch point, seeing the ways that that stays or doesn't stay. Ren, you have something?
Danny, you made a kobold pattern based on
did,
this. Corey the
yes.
kobold.
I designed the Cory the Kobold pattern.
Look at the beeb.
And mine is upstairs. And I also designed the bag of sorting, which is a dice
Mhm.
bag with 7 sections in it. So you can sort your dice by type or by
That is
set or however you'd like.
excellent.
I knitted both of those patterns
Yeah.
and love them both. They're in the other room. And I also designed he's got
The big old
the bag of
bag.
sorting. I knitted an homage to Owen's half bobble hat as well. So I designed my own version of a half bobble hat, and then I designed a dice bag that had crits and knits in color work on it.
Oh, that's
So
very
yeah,
cool.
I think that's
Right.
it.
I rolled for another character specific question. This one goes to Ren. What happened to the notebook Isolde purloined from the library?
She'll never tell.
Ooh.
Oh, maybe we've got multiple people with holes floating around this group. Okay.
God damn, Alandra.
I mean, she does have a bag of holding, and I'm trying to remember. I actually feel like she put something back that she nicked from the library. I don't remember if it was the notebook though.
I think
You
he
did put
disguised
something
the
back.
notebook.
You
Yeah.
did put something back because I
Because
think Herder,
I nicked something for Herder, and then decided against it and put it back
that's what it was.
That's what it was.
because Paladin, while not lawful good, is good enough to be like, nicking someone else's books feels wrong.
You tried to get the paladin to do a crime
That
when
was
you
your
had a
first
perfectly
mistake.
good rogue here.
Well, the rogue was busy.
Yeah, the rogue's always busy, but
Rogue is doing other crime.
Correct.
if Isolde still has that notebook, it is buried somewhere that no one will find.
Probably for the best.
I was gonna say, that sounds like a challenge. What happened to the group's adopted student? This is under DM questions, but this might be an open thing. I don't know if other people have thoughts on this.
I mean, Erasmus stayed, and she was still in school, right?
Yep. Yeah, she ended up getting rescued. Sort of. She was safe. She wasn't in any danger. She was
That was part of my
part
interlude.
of assaults.
We got her back. She's fine.
Yep, she is. She is back at school, and she is multi-classing.
Ooh.
Into what?
Cleric.
Gross.
Yep.
I know nothing about this character, this arc, this moment, and I was immediately like, yeah, she's multi-classing into cleric, just out of the bag because somebody needs to be a healer. I just
We
Well,
had
and
have a sense.
cleric specifically of LaRue, because LaRue had snatched her up into the Feywild to keep her
And-
safe.
Ooh.
And she saw some shit.
Yeah.
And when Assault retired, actually retired, passed her sword on.
Stop getting kidnapped by unicorns, kids. It's not all it's cracked up
well,
to be.
I mean, it's
This
partially my
was
fault.
this was Erasmus's fault.
It was 100%
100%.
Erasmus's
That was his wish.
fault.
I'm gonna have so many fun things to yell at you about once I finally catch up with the episodes.
Yep,
But
you are.
everybody watching here probably knows more about the show than me, so we can move on from my wonderment at the insanely stupid decisions that people make to your questions about the insanely stupid decisions that people make. What lair actions and legendary actions did the headmaster have?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Again, however much you do or don't want to reveal, if you want to hold some of this back for his eviler twin brother that will inevitably show up at the later point.
Yeah, he had animate dead. But like a big animate dead. They they could do a lot of things, the dead that he brought back, because they were wizards from a wizarding school. Every round, each of the undead could throw cantrips. And when they died, they exploded and did 1d6 damage to everyone in a 10-foot radius. He also had the ability to swap places with another body. So those were his two lair actions. He could animate 8 undead every round that he wanted to at the top of the round, and he could swap places with anyone. He also had some legendary actions. He could do warding bond.
Oh no.
Yeah. And he could revive. He could heal a d20 of HP by feeding on one of his zombies. And he had disrupt life, so every creature within a 50-foot radius made a con save and took necrotic damage on a fail. So yeah, he knew what he was doing. He just wasn't all that bright about the whys.
That's fair. That's a very fun moveset. I personally love a good corpse step. It's a good time. Well, since we've been talking, we've moved into a mechanics-based question. So here's another fun one that might be mechanical or not, depending on how. This is for the whole group. So get your thinking caps on and try to remember everything that happened. What is the most complicated move you remember doing in this game?
Relearning how to play D&D.
Yep, correct.
Win.
And 5e is a little bit different than Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think any of my moves were complicated because I'm a rogue and I do one thing. But I think the chase scene away from the police
That
was
was
probably
great.
the most like
Depths.
yeah.
yeah, well, and also the fact that like I don't know if Danny expected me to do that
Nope.
because much like what Sam is learning, I just do shit. And we just go with it. So I think that was like, and also killing the undead beholder
Mm.
because I jumped from a roof. My old lady body.
Very good. All right, yeah, that seems like appropriately complicated.
I think
Anybody
anytime
else?
that I had a prepared smite plus my burning sword, then critted and got and put regular smite on, my hands are not very big. So trying to roll all of those dice was kind of a challenge. That's the most mechanically challenging thing you're ever going to get from a paladin on that side of things, besides remembering what auras are up.
We're gonna get you a hamster ball, and you can just throw the dice in as you load everything up and just shake it around.
It makes a very interesting sound if you do that. So yes, I'm all for this.
Definitely making a chain of decoys with my figurines of wondrous power while partially hang gliding with another figurine away from danger. And also concocting a weird bomb with the rest of them.
I think I must have been out for this episode.
How many
That was fighting the dragon,
figurines-
right?
That was
Was
during,
it?
yeah.
How many
Yeah.
I forgot all
figurines did
about
that
that.
take?
That was very early.
It was
That's
very early.
wild.
Yeah, I had, because we had like Danny think gave us like 10 or 12 magic items. I was like, well, a portable hole, a sword. I don't really need armor. I'm good. And a alchemical jar and a bunch of figurines of wondrous power.
Danny gave us unlimited items
As long as we could justify
tell.
them.
Yeah, which is how Nalitha got a house full of items
You know
because
what?
she was a fucking thief.
You know what? That
Like-
makes sense.
This is also how I think E and I, or I don't remember if it was E and I or DB and I, wound up with like the same magic items, like the boat that unfolded,
Oh, and the goggles.
and the
Yeah.
goggles, and the
Yeah, two of the towers.
the towers. Yeah,
That was Hollow. You and
Yeah.
Hollow had the
Yeah.
tower.
Yeah, we both had fortress. I think I limited myself to a number because I could justify a lot of bullshit.
forever.
And so I was like, well, I need a number for myself, and like I
Yeah.
limited myself to that. And like as you can see, figurines, jars threatening with hot mayo, like
Oh, I forgot about that.
Dropping.
Yeah.
Everybody just Googled top 10 best magical items in D&D and was like, I once fought a guy who had a thing and then I looted it from his corpse.
Well,
Shrugs.
but a lot of them were things like that decanter of endless stuff.
Mhm.
So it was like uncommon magic items that got pulled in for stuff like that, and mine was justified by I brought Isolde in from another campaign. It was like she was friends with these queens of gnomes
Yep.
who build shit.
I do love the creativity that comes with allowing like many or even unlimited items, but also having a certain amount of restriction on it being like wondrous but not necessarily epic, because like there are a lot of very cool magical items in D&D that have not crazy like combat powers, or, they're not giving you extra spells. They're just like, like the unfoldable boat is like a really classic one, right, where it's like it seems really silly until the circumstances when it's actually really necessary to have a boat, and you just like, oh, you mean like this boat? Shaboom.
Yeah.
So
That was pretty much exactly how that played out too.
So that is a very fun, cool thing. But back to like complicated moves. Did anybody else have any particularly complicated moves or sequences that you remember that you wanted to call on? It's totally okay if not. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to.
Nope.
Okay. Let's do another character specific question. Greg, are Herder and Hespera going to get married? That was how the question was written, so I had to say it that way.
They probably already are.
Aw.
Oh.
I love that for
Herder
them.
is after having another taste of the adventuring lifestyle. Herder remembered why he retired the first time and is retreating back to safety and love as much as he can.
Oh, that's very cute.
That's very good. I have a question that might come back to that, but I'm going to save it because I want to get through a couple more specific ones first. But that's very, very cute. I think this is a DM question. Does the statue still exist in the center of town?
Yep. It's a magical statue. It's never
God
going
damn
away.
it.
It was
That's what
created
you
by
gotta
a
use that
wish.
last wish on.
Yeah. Just wish it away. Yeah, no, it's there. And yep. It's gonna be run into again, I'm sure.
Feel like the statue has created like a weekly like painting class
Oh, yeah,
or
there-
sculpture class.
there
It's
I mean, we're in a retirement community. There are a bunch of folks with nothing else to do, so there are always easels. There's someone with a little block of marble trying to learn how to sculpt marble. They're not doing a very good job, but they're trying.
Um, okay. Sorry, I'm having to read very quickly. Um, uh, all right. I think it's probably time to like pull the band-aid off of this one because it's the one that everyone's probably been waiting for. Was the Nalitha plot twist baked in from the beginning? And if not, when was that conceived? I think this is a question to Danny and DB, but inquiring minds would like to know. Most of them in this call, but also I'm sure many viewers and listeners as well.
DB, this is you, baby.
Yeah. It was not originally supposed to be like this, but too many jokes definitely went, I have to lean into this a little bit. It's not going to be that she has bird bones of all things, but that she is a person that is posing as an elderly woman. I will say, Danny and I actually did talk about this because I asked her if I could be like a criminal on the lam hiding at this retirement thing.
Yep.
And Danny told me no at the time. And I went,
because that
I
wasn't
went, damn.
it just didn't work.
And then plot happened.
Plot did
And
happen.
I looked at Danny and went, so can I?
Okay.
And Danny went, yeah. At this point, it makes a lot of sense.
Follow-up question. Did we ever meet the real Nilitha?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
When did the switch happen?
You'll never know. No.
Okay, fair.
No. No, I'll tell you this. So, it was the real Nilitha going to the dragon and back. The switch happened after the dragon.
So Herder
So-
never met the real Nilitha.
No.
Oh.
Interesting.
Well, the herder who existed before you played him probably
Right,
did.
okay.
Correct.
Greg Herder
Yes,
never
yeah.
met, but yeah.
Yes. Random NPC in city had met the real Nilitha.
Yeah. Because she liked his beer.
Sure.
So was it Twyla that was dating the Genasi?
Yes.
Okay.
I will answer all questions unless Danny gives me a look and says, shut the fuck up.
Go for it.
Well, Erasmus was right the whole time. There was something wrong with you, and there was something wrong with you the whole time.
No, not the whole time, because you were trying to push me into a stream when I was actually Nilitha.
Sure.
I mean,
Had to check.
Nilitha wasn't entirely innocent
Yeah.
in anything.
No, I never claimed she was. One of the jokes she made, I don't remember when this happened, was talking about how one guy died from a heart attack, and she goes, yeah, because I attacked his heart. Like,
Yep.
Look, yeah. Nilitha wasn't not a criminal. She just wasn't hiding in the retirement home. She was actually retired there.
well,
Yes.
it was a little bit of both. Like,
My character was suspicious of every elf in the retirement home. It's like, what are you doing here, really?
That's a fair point. That is a fair and legitimate point. I did not realize how much this campaign is just Thursday Murder Club, the D&D campaign. So that's very funny to me.
Cribbed it from us, clearly.
Yeah, no, definitely stole it from you guys. Let me see what else. Danny, what is up with the kobolds?
I love the kobolds. They
Cuties.
were originally just supposed to be like in the way. They showed up in like episode 6 or something, and they were just like hanging out with the dragon. They were being not employed, but required to work with the dragon. And once the party offered to help them get them out of there, they were super excited about that because they don't actually like the dragon. He wasn't very nice. And so, yeah, they just switched sides. They're like, yeah, we'll take you to him. We're not going to do anything to hurt him, but we'll take you to him. And after that, the party was not going to get rid of them. You know, they were used to working for someone, so they're now working for Herder at the bar, unless they've caused too much chaos. But that's their plan, unless he tells them to do something else, and then they'll do whatever he tells them to do.
He probably chuckles at him. It's all good.
Yep.
I love that. Um, is someone, I believe this is a very pointed someone, is someone ever going to sort and empty their hole?
No. Absolutely not. Nope. It's just going to be a random thing that he digs into uncomfortably for everyone else because it's in his back pocket, and pull out something or let people jump into it. Nope.
God help Owen if Raz dies first.
Oh,
Oh,
Never ever going to organize it because why would he?
it's fair. That's fair.
why
Why
I
would
don't-
you at this point?
Leave it for Owen to deal with after death.
I mean, yeah, that's why I have an Owen for.
It'll be like epic Raz hole estate sale.
Yeah, just
just
put
turn
a
it
little
upside
stake
down
out
and
front and be
shake.
like, yeah.
Don't you dare leave me with this without sorting it out. I don't want your junk. This is like me and my parents arguing about the garage.
Yep.
No, Rasmus is definitely that old person who has too many things and has hoarded a bunch of things, and he's never going to sort any of it. And if he, you know what, it will be Callie's problem or Owen's problem.
there we go.
Callie's problem.
Pass it to Callie.
Owen's
Callie's your
happy.
adopted kid now.
Yep.
Yes, Rasmus finally has a child, so that he can see.
That he's aware of.
Yeah,
That he's aware of.
important distinction. To be perfectly honest, I think that is the majority of the questions that I have here on this list. So I'm going to ask one more big sort of character related question. And then if we still have a little bit of time, which I imagine we will, we're going to pivot into Alondra's really deep introspective gaming questions, which is a backup category that I keep in my pocket in case I ever need time filler for these kinds of things. But I think a big sort of like good wrap up question as I go through this document and make sure I didn't miss any, because I think I probably did, and I just have to find where I put them. That's on me. What will your characters do now? Are they okay going back to retirement, or has this renewed their interest in adventuring? And I think we touched on this a little bit with Herder and
Yeah,
your
Herder is done, and part of that is because mechanically Herder was designed as a throwaway one-shot character, and
a classic gaming mistake. I'm gonna be here for
Absolutely.
3 episodes. I don't
Right.
need to, oh no.
Yeah, so I had no depth, and I was learning as I was going about how D&D in the 21st century works, and so
The number
it's
of
just a hot.
the number of messages that I would get from Greg being like,
Yeah.
"Hi, help me strategize."
Absolutely, yeah, and everyone here helped me out along the way, and okay, Deeves is like shaking her head no, but like in game, the very beginning, especially before Herder became an asshole to her, she was very protective of him, and like the basilisk encounter, she helped him out with that and everything and all of that. So, but yeah, I was like learning all the lore, and hitting up Ren, I hit up everybody, and so yeah, so yeah, short version, Herder's done. He's settling back in his bar. He makes a good beer. He makes several good beers, and he's give him a year or two, he'll probably start telling epic stories about how epic he was. About while he was adventuring, it'll be half true. But he's looking forward to a quiet life with his wife and the crazy kobolds.
Your children.
Essentially.
Yeah.
You've
our
adopted
kids,
them at
our
this
adopted
point.
kids.
So Nalitha's dead.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
got
nice
this
short
far,
version.
you hadn't figured it out.
Yeah. If you didn't know, Nalitha is dead. So the ultimate retirement, I think, is what that's called. The final
Permanent
retirement.
retirement.
I mean,
Permanent
I mean, unless a cleric gets a hold of your ass and drags your soul back into your body.
You
This
still
is a whole
got a limited
necromancer.
time.
No.
There's
She
100 years for true resurrection.
So, but here's
Oh,
the thing.
yeah,
She
no.
is a burnt up crisp right now, guys. The house was set on fire. So if she comes back, oh, she's gonna be pissed.
Ooh.
I mean,
Mm.
Greg does make a
No,
good point.
Danny.
Greg does make a good point. I think it was Greg. I missed it in the crosstalk. There are a lot of necromancers just running around. It seems like lots of things could happen.
True.
Well, I mean, true resurrection doesn't require a body. You just need to speak the person's name. So,
Drag your ass back from hell, Nella.
It's
Whether
just
you want to or
it's
not.
just the meme of I'm coming home, sweetie. I'm back in the fucking building again. Oh.
How about Owen Erasmus Assault? Retirement, new career. It sounds like Erasmus has a little bit of new career or going on. This is like Assault's second retirement from what I recall. So any feelings one way or the other for you guys?
Owen started like old people aerobics, but it's sparring and self-defense. So perhaps we'll see Owen again, perhaps not. Um, yeah, so he's just hanging around.
I don't think Erasmus could actually sit still. He was restless at the retirement home when the game started. He said, "Look, there's an adventure out there. We gotta go get it right now." And somebody even asked him about retiring. He's like, "I don't think I can do that. Now that I'm adventuring again, I don't think I can go back in that cage." So now he has like a essentially a granddaughter to take care of, a bunch of money to spoil her with. Um, and she's got that spark for going outside and doing things. He's definitely going to nurture that. Like,
Oh my God, I can just see grandpa and granddaughter going out adventuring together.
Ooh.
Maybe they'll go visit Uncle Grandpa.
I can see
And
that.
Penny.
we gotta
Um,
bother Owen. That's just on the
oh,
list.
obviously. Like, Erasmus's actual last name is Owen Botherer.
Sounds about right.
Beautiful.
Isolde has truly retired at this point. She had a long conversation with her goddess after being basically she went to Pettycross originally because her wife had just died and she didn't know what to do without her. She didn't know how to be a mom and a grandmother without also being a wife and an adventurer. So she was having a real difficult time finding her place in the new world order and decided, you know what? I need to not be around anyone that I know for a while. And her kids definitely pushed her in that direction because they were like, we don't know what to do with you. So now she is heading back, having talked to her goddess and given up the sword that her goddess had given her and passing that burden along to the next person. And she's going to go be a mom and a grandmother, and hopefully, if she lives long enough, a great grandmother, and figure out what the hell that means for her.
All right. I did find this I have two very quick kind of funny ones that I had missed in my list. We'll touch on these just real quick. Um does Nelitha get her ring back? Also, what's up with the ring?
Nilitha did get her ring back.
Well, not Nelitha.
Not
Yeah.
Nilitha. Twyla got the ring back from the cop man who believes that that's Nilitha. And Twyla signed Nilitha's name on a piece of paper. She doesn't have to do anything with it. Specifically, Twyla was there for that. So what happens to that is up to Danny and whatever the fuck happens next, I guess, if that's the way Danny decides to take it. Twyla is no longer a character that I control.
Fair.
Fun. All right. And I think I think this is where we pivot over to some of my like deep introspective gaming questions. These are the sorts of things that I like to ask because I think they apply to any sort of gaming scenario, and I think it's kind of fun. Um, this campaign, if I recall correctly, I went back and checked on like the YouTube archives, has been going on like off and on for like 2 years or something at this point to get through season one. There are 69 nice
Nice.
episodes
Nice.
in the playlist, and I know some of those are just the knits from weeks that things were off or you can play live or pre-record, but that's still like, that's still a fair amount of time to run a campaign for. Um and so I'd love to know if anybody has any like insights or thoughts about like how did your evolving gamer style as a TTRPG player affect how you played these characters over the course of that time? Or how did playing in this game and the things you dealt with in this game affect your style as a player, if at all? And the same goes for Danny. Like, apply this as a GM. Like, what lessons did you learn along the way, or how did you take things you learned from running this into other games that you've played or GM'd?
Can go. Because I mean, obviously, everything I've already said about learning again. But one of the things I think that I'm especially happy about is because of this, my 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter now plays D&D. So she watched me get involved with this, as well as much as I would let her because we're very foul-mouthed.
Sure,
But that's
sure. A
kind of part of
balance.
D&D. Um, and was interested in it. So, I was teaching her a bit, and then she had some opportunities to go to some like camps at school and things like that as well. And now she goes plays at the library. She got friends at school that they play with. So, I got to do that, and so that's been fun. And then just otherwise, like everything, like basically everybody watching the stream with me on it got to watch me learn how to play D&D again. So that was just how that worked. And I do a lot of like reading and looking at other things outside of that now. I mean, this is still my only D&D game. I don't have
We
a
can
local
fix that.
game. Yeah, well, you'll need to find more time is what it is. So it's a balance for me. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely hungry for more.
I think for me, part of what was really great about this game is uh, we got closer as friends. A lot of us, and then we adopted an asshole. But no, all jokes aside, all of us got closer as friends. Greg was new to the group. I think Greg had even said that he was nervous about joining us originally.
Very much
And
so.
we were just like, no. And I think at one point you said something about, I'm so sorry because I'm so new at this and you're all so experienced. And I just went, everybody starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And we all learn something new, even in D&D every day. Um, but like yeah, this group has, oh my gosh, it's been great. We're closer. Erasmus and I have actually become friends outside of the internet. The only one that lives close enough, and we finally did it.
We did it. It happened
Yay!
at the LARP.
At the LARP, we had to go to California for it to happen.
Well,
I don't think I
Incorrect. Incorrect. We met up at SAF.
We did.
We did okay. We had to go to 2 separate states
That's true.
for it to happen when we live
In the same
like an
state.
hour away from each other.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that this was actually how you guys had sort of met and connected and forged that friendship. So that's very fun.
So we had met before this
Yeah.
for
It's like
Dreamweaver or whatever the
Dungeons and
hell it was.
Dreamers.
Thank
Dungeons
you,
and Dreamers.
Dungeons and Dreamers.
Yes.
And we had been on, that was like a 6 episode arc.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Seven
So
episodes because there were
7.
6 players and then we had the wrap up.
Right.
Yeah.
So a 7 episode arc. And we talked a little bit outside of that, but we really didn't talk more until Tell Crits&Knits.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I got 4 new friends and traveled to some states I've never been to before.
Yay! And you have more travel.
Yeah.
Anybody
I-
else thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the thing that I learned again, or like relearned, was how to play with differing skill levels, because I do like beginning DMing for like kids at like school or the library sometimes, or Adventure League, and I am the forever DM at my in my home game. Like I am constantly running game, but when I'm at the table, I have to be a canny DM because I am playing with players who have been playing as long as me, and like also like rules lawyer the hell out of the book. And so like I have to be on all the time to like to keep on my toes, make sure they're on their toes. But there's a lot of different skill levels and needs, and like part of needs in the party, like people like to role play or do whatever, and like, well, we have our sleeper rules lawyer Ren over here, but
I try so hard. I really do, to not jump in with stuff. I really do try.
you are always the sleeper, always.
But it's appreciated.
Yeah, it's like, but yeah, the just relearning, I don't have to go 100 all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like I've always been a kind of flexible DM. And this game has reminded me that that's a very good thing. There's stuff that, I mean, Ren knows the big one that I walked back a move that I made as
Yep.
the bad guy because, as Faye pointed out, that if he had done the thing, there was nothing that Isolt would be able to do, which would work perfectly for the BBEG, but would not make for an entertaining game session for Ren the player or for the audience. So we walked it back. And
I
I like keeping things open.
Force cage.
The
Force
force
cage is
cage.
not a good is not a good
Yeah.
spell to use against players in the
Yeah.
middle of a fight.
And it
Actually, it's a great spell to use against players in the middle of a fight, but you gotta know that your player has crafty ways to
Yeah.
manage that on a role play level, and it can be really boring for them. Yeah. No, agreed. Understood.
it was one of those that it made sense in my head because he had the other guy in a force cage. So of
Right.
course he's going to use it again. And yeah, no, that
Yeah.
that was a bad thing.
But that is also a testament too to the kind of friendship and the kind of communication at the table that you have forged to be able to kind of have that moment of being like, actually, in this circumstance, this is not going to be a fun thing. This is not going to be like this is going to be a gotcha in the bad way.
Yeah.
I say like, no, it's a great one to use against. I have been the player who was caught in the force cage during a moment, and it was actually very intentional and pointed because my character was an angry teenage barbarian who is then just like cussing them out for like 3 rounds until the force cage dropped, so it made sense in that moment. That's a very different game. That's a totally different table. And we had the interplay to know that worked. And in this instance, to have that moment to be able to be like, this isn't going to be fun for anyone, and it's not going to be the best storytelling.
Yeah. And I mean,
Like-
by the raw rules, there is nothing that can be done about a force cage. You cannot dispel magic it. The best that you can do is teleport out of it, but you have to make a check in order to do so. And it was like, I'm gonna go get a drink and a snack and take a nap because there's nothing that I can do in this fight.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any like thoughts or takeaways on mechanics, play styles, communications that you want to share? It's okay if not.
I will say that I very much appreciated Greg's notes
Oh,
Mm.
thanks.
because, like, let me find an example of session 33. That's my notes. That's my notes for the entirety of the hour plus that we played. And they were all notes. The first line was planned. But the headmaster returns to the library with a potion. And that was it. That was all that I had planned. And the rest was me sort of taking notes about what happened and being busy with the gameplay and forgetting to write things down. And so it was great to have Greg's notes to reference. It was great to go back and just watch the episode again before the next session.
Yeah, I just went and looked at my notes from session 33, and I've got more notes than you did. So-
Also, I just want to say that one of the things that I really appreciate about Greg is that you really took on the role of bard, and you took that very seriously. Like, you
Yes.
wrote multiple pieces for
Yeah.
this campaign, and it was very cool. I love it when campaigns spawn art, when it spawns pieces of music that people write, when it spawns just about anything that is outside of the immediate game session.
Mhm.
I love that. I love it when it sparks that kind of creativity.
Thank you. And like I'll respond to that going back to something DB said when I was constantly or at least partially apologizing for sorry I'm so new at this whatever and everything. One of the decisions I made early on, I wanted to do the bard because I was like that could just be crazy. And I could just totally go absolutely crazy and it doesn't matter. I mean it does, but it doesn't matter as much. I can cover up a lot of mechanics, lack of knowledge on mechanics by being a goofball. And being a goofball in public on the internet is something that I've gotten good at. So I'm happy to do that. But it was fun. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, what I lack in like ability to actually play D&D, I'm going to make up with being like a for real bard. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to write a song. I taught myself how to play ukulele to play that first one I did, and I was really going to try to do that more and more, but then I life happened and I couldn't write as many
Life be
songs.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just casually taught yourself an entire instrument so that you could
Yeah.
fulfill your D&D
Right?
character. It's fine.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, let's go with that. Thank you, everyone. We're at about the point when we need to wrap up the formal portion of the talk back. But thank you for being here. This is not the end of the stream. We're gonna take a brief break in a couple of moments here so that everyone can refill their drinks and get their fiber crafts. And then there is going to be a reverse swap. We will do just the knits afterwards. I believe Danny, Greg, Hollow, and E are all going to stick around for a little bit so that you can smack talk, check in on your projects, and just casually hang out for a little longer while the rest of us have to dip to another game. But thank you all for joining us this evening. Those of you who are in the chat and those of you who are watching quietly, thank you to everyone who catches up with us on YouTube or in podcast format after the fact. You are still loved and appreciated. I just can't read your names off on screen because I can't see them. But know that we support you. Thank you to Danny and the cast for letting me come in and invade your sacred space to ask you a bunch of very pervasive and personal questions about your very fictional characters that I'm sure you're all quite attached to. I know I get attached to all of mine. And I think to close us out this evening, I do have one final very important question that we must ask, which is, why won't DB say Greg's screen name?
You know why.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the season 1 talkback of Crits and Knits. It's been a real joy having you. For those of you, again, please stick around, hang out with the rest of the cast for some knitting and casual time. And those of you who are in close enough time zones or are awake enough and want to come see DB, Ren, and I cause some havoc in a near future cyberpunk game, you can hang out and raid into Vandaloswin with the rest of the gang in about half an hour or so. Thank you all. Danny, do you have any final words that you want to say? It is your show after all.
I want to say thank you for taking on the role of host for
Yeah.
us. This was fantastic.
Big ups. Thank you.
It was great to be able to just answer the questions and take care of the tech end of things. So this was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful season 2 that I can come back for and maybe stay up to date on. We'll see. No promises. I'm not putting words in Danny's mouth, but everybody find us on all of the appropriate socials and in the discords, and we will keep you updated on what comes next for Crits and Knits. Thank you all.
Bye. hello. We are back, I think. Yes, we're back.
Back.
I hope you all enjoyed getting all the questions and answers. That was
Yeah.
that was good. That was a good mix of stuff, I think.
Yeah. That was fun.
Of course,
Danny,
we're
we ran
always available for follow-up questions on the Discord.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And we ran out of time before. There was a question I wanted to ask you, Danny.
Okay.
Um, and you can do it on the Discord or whatever, but I'm going to ask you here. You have no idea what I'm about to say because I'm just full of chaos. But was there anything in the campaign that you wanted to do but ended up having to get shelved for some reason or another?
Ooh.
Horse cage.
Well,
Um, so I have my list here of plans. I had us down for 3 seasons. We didn't do seasons. We just played.
Yeah.
But I had
Yeah.
season 1, party comes together. BBEG appears to be a dragon. Inciting incident, troll attack. A couple of trolls are undead. Trolls seem to be acting on behalf of the dragon. Season finale, battle with the dragon at the top of the mountain. Surprise, it's an undead dragon. Which actually all pretty much worked. And I did not expect the dragon to be defeated the way it was. So,
I don't think anybody did.
nope.
nope.
Season 2, party discovers undead/dead dragon was controlled by necromantic lich. Must learn who this lich is. Deal with town graveyard, many dead to be raised. We did sort of deal with that.
Mhm.
The graveyard didn't really hold as much weight as I had plotted it would. Season 3, party must find phylactery, party must find lich, party must destroy lich. That all happened, but the whole school came into play. That was sort of a late development. It was one of those on the fly things that, oh, this would be a cool thing to add.
Okay.
And my idea of who the bad guy was really solidified with the whole shoe thing, because you guys were obsessed with the shoes and the footprints.
You guys, it was just hollow.
Well, okay.
That man's shitty shoes.
and I went with Wish being very, very literal in that technically the headmaster was the owner of the property where this other thing, where the teleportation circle was. So that's why it was the headmaster that appeared, and why you were also suspicious of him. You know.
That's good.
But yeah, I think just about everything got done. Yeah.
So what you been knitting? What did I miss?
Well,
welcome back, E.
Yes,
we missed
welcome
you. I don't know
My
what you missed,
certificate
but we
arrived in the
missed
mail
you.
last night.
nice.
For those that missed it, I was doing a continuing education program that unfortunately clashed with my D&D, which was so sad.
Sad.
Yeah.
It was fun to have you in the Twitch stream chat, for parts
Then
of
I
the
could pop
times.
in before class.
Right?
Yeah.
For class.
It was fun.
But yes, glad to have you back for the talk back.
It was nice to have everyone here tonight. Last time it
Yeah.
was just me and
When
DB.
was the last time that happened?
Oh, a long time ago.
A big battle, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when it was just me and DB, she threw down a challenge. Because, I don't know, she makes decisions. She makes choices.
She makes choices.
She does make choices.
And she had a shawl that she was doing that she thought she could just whip through. And so she challenged me to see which of us could get the most rows done before our That's Pretty Crafty episode. And I'm like, well, that's not fair, because your thing has like 160 stitches and it's on big needles and every row is decreasing. And I am working on a circular shawl. I currently have like 220 stitches. It's increasing every round. And it's beaded.
don't know, Danny. I think I would just call that a handicap. So
Yeah,
things were even.
yeah.
Right.
Well, it turned out that DB ended up ripping hers out like 3 times and restarting it, so I did actually beat her
You crushed her. Good.
a little. But um, that's that's been my main focus, and it's not all going to fit because it's a circular shawl and it's getting kind of big. But
Yeah.
it's got, sort this out. It's got beads. There we go. There's beads,
Oh, those are nice.
and it's going to be a sun. So like the center is round, and it's got some rays coming off of it, and there are other rays. That's what the little triangles are that happen in between. They've got beads on them, and the yarn is 100% linen, which I've never worked with before, but
Mhm.
it's a gradient. So it goes
You know,
from the deep
Or are
orange
you liking
to
it?
a really gorgeous yellow. It's not bad. It's a lot nicer than I thought. It is concept by Katya Soft Lino, and it's really nice. It's a very fine linen. It's
Mhm.
lace weight. And I thought it was going to be a lot more like rough and scratchy to work with, but it's not bad. Um, I don't. It's not as soft as a lot of the stuff that I work with, but the colors were just perfect for what I want because it's for a character who is uh very sun based. Um, so it's I think it'll be nice as I wash it and it wears a little. That's what I've heard is that linen softens up. Um, and I hope it evens out a little bit too because it does look a little less even than I would like. But we'll see once I wash it and block it. And if it's terrible and I don't want to give it as a gift, I do have a backup yarn because Knitpicks had a sale.
Yeah.
So I left it all upstairs, but I bought a bunch of what's their self-striping one? The sock yarn.
I don't remember.
I can't think of it. I've had it before, but I bought
Yeah.
several. I bought like the Sanderson sisters colorway and the Buddy, the Elf colorway. I'm sure they're slightly different names too, but I got like 4 different colorways, two skeins of each, so that I can make matching socks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's been the main focus of my knitting was the beaded shawl, and I'm I haven't picked up again the the dentist blanket second part. I finished the blanket, and I even took nice pictures of it. And once I'm not sick, I will take it to the dentist. But I haven't worked on anything for a couple of days because I've been sick. So part of it is that I haven't felt like doing anything. But also, I don't want to be journey on things that I'm going to give to other people. I know I'm going to wash them,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
it does. It's that that's not the vibe I want to put in. So,
Right.
but I do have the head of the bunny crocheted and the start of the blankie itself. So I need to do the bunny ears and sew those on, and then finish the body of the blankie. But I'm making decent progress with that. The yarn is a silk merino blend, so it's super slippery.
Mm.
So I think I'm glad I'm crocheting rather than knitting. It just I don't have to worry about it falling off a needle or anything. But that's what I've been working on. Greg's been doing something.
I finished some
Yeah, you found
socks.
something to do?
Yeah, I did. I found something to do. So I did finish the socks that I had been working on, and they're they match, the stripes match, Danny. I did that
That's
for
very
you.
exciting.
I really thought like on I did the toe and then a black stripe. I really thought on when after I did the second sock, when I did the first sock, I would do a toe then a red stripe, so the stripes would be just one
One
off.
off.
Yeah. So so yes. It was interesting though because the cuffs are slightly different in that I knit on when I did the second sock, I knit 105 rounds for the leg,
Hmm.
and then I had started a black stripe, and so I moved to the contrast color in black for the cuff, and then did my ribbing on when I did the first sock after I did 105 yards. I was still in the red.
Oh,
'Cause I was just
it,
like
it's always a
when
little
you
bit.
dye it, it's the like
Yeah,
it's all, I don't know how they dyed the self striping, but
there's
it's
variation.
there's some variation or whatever. And so I did another 5 rounds, and then I did just 20 rounds of ribbing instead of 25 rounds of ribbing. So they're still the same height, but whatever. Okay. So I finished up with that, and then I made another little yarn ball cozy, which I actually just finished earlier today. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing crits and knits, and I don't have anything that I'm knitting. So as you can see, I have yarn in here now. And so I cast on a sock literally as I was joining the Zoom call when we started. So I've got a little bit of a toe going on. And this is in some Oink Pigment yarn in their disco base. I forget the name of the colorway, but it was the SAF special one year in 22, I think maybe. Um, and the disco has got like metallic flecks in it, so it's a party. Oh, and today is National Disco Day. So
Oh,
happy National Disco Day in New Zealand, but
still.
I'm happy to celebrate disco anytime. So and then I finished my baseball hat. This was, I think, maybe last time I was on stream, I talked about taking a baseball apart and getting the yarn out of it. And here it is. This is the yarn out of two baseballs. And I knit it with the casting on the number of stitches that you're supposed to do, and according to the pattern I had. And then the as tall as it's supposed to be. And it's large. So
Yeah, you can
I
roll up the brim.
I could roll it over, but it's also loose.
Yeah.
I mean, I could put another head in here with me,
Oh no.
basically.
Your get
So
along hat with DB.
that's right. Yeah. Exactly. Um, so I want to try felting it and see if it'll shrink up a little bit.
Yeah,
And then I'm also thinking that I will maybe knit an I cord and turn the hat upside down, and now I have a bag. And
that's
I
an
can
option too.
scrunch it such with an I cord
Yep.
and still felt it because that'll give it a little bit more
Yeah.
integrity or whatever. But I haven't washed it again since I finished knitting it. Um, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take a bunch of measurements and like compare my gauge to what the pattern gauge was because I didn't do that ahead of time. Because why? You
Yeah.
know,
It's a hat.
um,
You're
it's
never
a
gonna need
hat.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And I started with yarn from a minor league baseball instead of a major league baseball, and the requirements between the balls are different.
Okay.
So
Maybe that's
there's
part of it.
part of it is that's I'm sure that's part of it, because I have gotten feedback because I've had pictures on my Instagram of it, and I've gotten feedback from people who have knit the same pattern using major league balls, and they said worked fine for me, that my gauge was fine, it fit right, I was able to do it with yarn out of one ball. I used almost the entire yarn from both balls.
Hmm.
So I think they just put less yarn in minor league balls,
Okay.
makes them so that this is my theory. I'm gonna do like I'm actually gonna do like some research and to try to figure this out a little bit. But less yarn wound looser will create a more elastic ball so
Right.
that when you hit it with the bat, more power can transfer and you should be able to hit it farther. But then they want to reduce that as you get higher up in the thing. So once you get to the major leagues, they want to make it so it's more about the athleticism than about the equipment.
Okay, that makes
That's the
sense.
theory I'm going with at this point. And so then as a result, you wind the yarn tighter, so you end up with more yarn in the same size sphere.
Right.
And the yarn's already stretched out stuff and everything. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, so knitting and baseball, things I both love.
Yeah.
And now I have a baseball hat, and I can tell people, "Hey, look, it's my baseball hat." And they're like, "That's not a baseball hat. That's a baseball hat." So, no, no, literally, hat from a baseball.
Do you
So,
ever wear a hat over your hat?
um,
Like in
I
the
I
winter,
have
I will wear a ball cap with a toque over top of it, but it always has to
right
be a toque that's too big for me.
a too big toot. Yeah, well, I have one of those now. I mean, I could absolutely do that. So, um,
Fashion.
Yep.
fashion, yeah, yeah, something, yeah. So, anyway.
All right.
So that's what I've been knitting since the last time we recorded. So like since it's been like 2.5 years since you've been here, what?
Mm.
I have been a busy bee. Um, I finally finished, well, I say finally, I had it for a shorter amount of time than the original finisher, but I finished the loose end sweater and returned it to the family 2 weeks ago now. Um, very emotional for the family member. Apparently, I
Yeah.
selected exactly the kind of buttons that the original crafter would have selected.
Aw.
So that was pretty cool. Um, and then she works in town, and so I've run into her since. So that was
Oh,
kind of neat.
That's fun.
Um, then I once the sweater project, which I thank you all for your guidance with that, because holy crap, I
That
needed
was
help.
a big one.
Yeah. Um,
and you've got pictures of all that in the Discord,
yeah,
in
I do.
the knitted
And
things.
then
It's
I
real fun.
someday will be featured on the Loose Ends official page, but
Oh, cool.
I don't know when that'll be.
Yeah.
So once the sweater became too unwieldy to drag back and forth to work with me, I cast on my mystery grab bag sock
They're so
from
bright.
String Theory Colorworks. And I love it.
It's great.
Um, apparently I didn't fully, yeah, bind it off, but
Oh,
it's different for me because I've never really done just like a standard sock size sock. I've always done like knee highs or little shorties, but I've in my old age discovered that I like regular ones also. Because for a time there I was like, I hate normal size socks. But I got some from work for our like employee appreciation. I was like, you know what, these are great.
Yeah.
So I made a normal one,
yay.
and just kind of a made up pattern. So I wrote it down, but
Excellent.
mostly just made up, and then with a fish lips kiss heel. So that's my dragging around one. I have had to put a pause on that, however. I swear I don't have second sock syndrome. Got other shit going on. Um, I um the Our Flag Means Death fan community is very passionate about their show that got canceled. And does a lot of fundraising. And last year they did like a crafty fundraiser where people would donate projects, or like so people were donating like themed yarn, and I'm like, I wish I had $200 to bid on this. Um, but I didn't. And I was became aware of the project too late to submit an entry, but this time I saw it in time, and I was able to put in 4 of those little manta rays that I do.
Oh, yay.
Mm.
So I said I'll do 2 pink and 2 blue. However, I neglected to submit pictures of the pink ones in time for their little like catalog. And so I've been contacted by 3 winners for the like they had a thing where like you donate to X charity. I think it was the Rainbow Coalition or Rainbow Railroad. Um, and you could like enter to win something of a selection of prizes. And so I've been contacted by three of the four, and all four have wanted the blue one, but I only had two blue ones pre-made.
Oh,
Oh,
So I'm whipping out a third one.
whip it out.
there you go.
Um, one I just put in the post yesterday. It's going to Cardiff, Wales.
Ooh, fun.
Ooh.
So International Manta of Mystery.
Nice.
Love it.
And my big project for right now is a very special project for a very special boy who's very sick at the present time. Um, so y'all know the believe sign from Ted Lasso. Well, I'm making a blanket
Aw,
of the sign so he can have some positive snuggles.
That's awesome.
good. That's awesome. Oh, yay.
And I have many plans for other things, but this takes
Right on.
priority.
Right on.
Yep.
He's on the mend. He's out of PICU, so
Good,
nobody freak out. But he's still got a long road ahead of him.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
Alright.
I can assure you that the family will be very, very grateful for that. Having been on the receiving end of things like that when my daughter was in the NICU after she was born, it's very special.
And I'm thinking once he outgrows it as a blanket, maybe it can be a wall hanging.
Yeah.
And you never know. They kids tend to keep blankets a long time. I've
Well, it's lap blanket size for an adult size person, but
Mhm.
he's just little, so
Yeah.
Right.
it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I've made blankets for every baby at my office for 18 years. I've got another one coming up. I found out just last week, so I'll be making another baby blanket soon. Um, but we were talking about that at lunch one day after we found out that the one coworker is pregnant, and one of the girls said, "Oh yeah, Ty still carries his around. It's well, not carries it around. It's on his bed, but he's like 13 now,
Right.
and it lives on the end
Oh,
of his bed." I'm like, oh, well, that's just sweet. So
yeah.
you never know what they're gonna get attached to, and it's just gonna mean something
Yeah.
important to them and
I
be a
mean,
forever thing.
like, hold please. I still have my first stuffy who sleeps on my bed.
Yeah.
This is Neville.
My wife still has Tannenbaum. Same.
I have Baby Bear.
Hollow, what you been up to?
Well, as I said in the talk back, I have started too many things, and I actually may have been reprimanded for buying more needles to start something else, and I haven't finished anything. So like, I've got circular needles that have socks on them, but then I bought a new sock kit trying to get my kid into knitting with me because I was like, oh, this will reinforce me knitting more.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, well, maybe I'll just start it. And then I was like, but I already have this project on my other. I'll just buy some needles. They'll be fine. So almost all of the
These
needles,
are your needles.
huh? What was that?
These are the needles you bought, Seth, and then gave up and were like, anybody want some needles? And I was like, sure.
See, there it is.
It's a freaking Judy's magic cast on.
Judy.
Damn, Judy.
Man, yeah. So like, yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff. I mean, hell, I even was gifted some yarn from my local yarn lady. There's a yarn shop in town that I've come to really enjoy because they call themselves a fiber community. So they actually it's a really big shop. They have a lot of space. They have tables.
Oh,
So
nice.
people can kind of come in. So even if I was like working, I could come in and like sit down my laptop and do work, and then also sit with knitters.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, and she gifted me this,
Ooh.
and I'm like, well, what do I fucking do with it? I don't know what it is. What was it? This is Woolstock worsted.
Ooh, I love Woolstock.
Yeah, it was, Woolstock worsted something 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 something.
Yeah, no, their yarn is very nice. It's Blue Sky is the company that does the Woolstock worsted, and I use the Woolstock light for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so that's me. I am just like, I have plenty of projects. I even bought like lots of patterns from Ravelry
Mhm.
and from the shop, all because the shop also has a Ravelry
Mhm.
shop. So it like sells patterns through Ravelry to other people if you want to buy like a pattern. And there are like also like guest knitters, and also some of the old ladies. They're like new Greg's like podcasts. Like, oh, I heard knitting daddy.
You'll say my name.
Oh,
I like
him!
it.
I know him!
I know him. I've been listening to his podcast all the time. And I'm like, okay, y'all really love Greg up in here. So,
What's not to love?
Fair.
you know, yeah. So, but some of them have been like, they haven't been like watching on Twitch because they can't get Twitch to work for them. But they have been like listening on like YouTube and like wherever else we've been putting. Like, so there we have like a little community of knitting women out
Aw,
here who are
Just
just
the
like,
knits.
Hey, Hollow's knitting women friends.
Yeah. Hi, local yarn shop ladies.
yeah. So I mean, they're out there just like listening to Crits&Knits. They're like, oh, what's that? Sounds nice. The Crits and the Knits, and I'm like, yeah, this is what it is. I'm like, oh, that's so neat.
I love
Good
that.
And
adventure.
there's Greg just cussing up a storm.
Aw.
I mean, look, if Craig's cussing the storm, I'm talking about my whole. I mean, like these are old ladies. They probably screw more than we do. So
And then there's the horses.
Mhm.
Yeah, I always wonder about the people who come over here from Unraveling, where it's very much a PG
It
world.
is a very clean show.
it's a very clean
Yes.
show, and some
We,
people,
we we keep the clean tag on our podcast, and whatnot. Yes, and then it's not like that over here.
No,
Mm.
no.
the women at the yarn shop, they are rowdier than me. Like they will just say whatever because they're old now. And they're like, I'm gonna say what I want.
Well, look, Megan in our chat says that this is how she found us over here. Welcome, Megan. I'm glad you followed me over here. I have fun both places. I hope you do too. Well, I know in the Discord you've been talking about how you've
Yeah,
been getting back into D&D. So
that's very exciting.
awesome.
We're very excited for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of us. One of us.
Woo!
Yes. Well, do we have anything else to chat about? Or shall we just go raid the others? Let's go raid. So, I'm
Yeah.
going to remind myself how to do that.
Oh.
Just have to find them. So, we will be heading over there in just a minute or so. But thank you everyone for hanging out tonight. This was fantastic. It was so much fun to chat with everyone and have all of these questions and get to show you some of our secrets.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, and we will see you. I think
See you soon, because
Yeah.
season 2 is in the works.
it is.
Yep.
There is a
Got
season 2
some
coming.
some logistics to work out, but hang tight. You're not gonna get rid of us that easy.
Yep, keep an eye on the
That's right.
Discord, keep an eye on Instagram. We will announce everything everywhere. But until next time, happy knitting. Bye.
Bye.
Raid out, raid out, raid out.
I think we're rating. I
Look,
always like to
Doing
wait and see.
something.
Ooh.
on my Twitch, it's over there to their splash screen.
Okay, excellent.
It worked.
And ours is still showing it because apparently I didn't accept the raid.
Oh, they just started. Perfect timing.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
We're so good. All right, well, if you're still
Yeah.
watching us, I don't know why, but we'll see you later. Bye.